Shares of Canopy Growth dropping after the company inked a deal to acquire Supreme Cannabis for $346 million today. Let's get to Frank Collin with the details. Hey, Frank.
Hey there, Melissa. CEO David Klein described this deal to me as a premium push that sets up the company's plans for U.S. legalization. Here's a look at the numbers behind that deal. Canopy acquired Supreme at a 66% premium over its close on Wednesday. It gives Canopy 13% of the recreational market in Canada and $24 million of cost savings in U.S. dollars over the next 2 years.
It also helps us round out our portfolio so that we can drive ourselves to profitability in Canada, which then allows us to invest in consumer insights and innovation, which is really the engine at Canopy. That will then help us come to the U.S. with better experiences, better branded products.
Klein believes U.S. legalization could happen in 2022, but right now in Canada, despite a pandemic boom in sales, there's still an oversupply of cannabis. Wholesale prices down about 11% since the start of 2020, and there is an estimated 2.5 million pounds of cannabis. That's enough for the next 3 years at current Canadian consumption levels, just sitting as inventory. So when you look at the stock price, investors seem to be asking why Canopy would essentially buy more cannabis. Back over to you.
2.5 million pounds, Frank? Is that what you said? 2.5 million pounds.
2.5 million pounds.
Wow. It's a lot of pot.
Yeah, I do a conversion. I got the number in kilograms, but yeah, it's 2.5 million pounds.
Okay. Frank, thanks. Frank Holland. Tim, that pot can't stay fresh. Does it matter if pot's fresh? I don't even know. I mean, does it go bad? What happens to this pot?
Yeah, well, you can put it into concentrates, you can put it in storage. This deal for me is about synergies, it's about cost savings. David Klein, who, look, I'm long the stock. I have a ton of confidence in Canopy's position going into the U.S. markets when it's ready. Meanwhile, it's a global consumer brands company, and I think because of the Constellation backing, it's in a great spot. I think the more interesting thing for investors is, hey, you know, what's going on in the industry? Why have cannabis stocks struggled here? After you get New York, you get progress on SAFE, you've had great earnings. And I think some of it's just, you know, conditions where we were a little bit overbought. Look, today, maybe the more interesting deal was John Salemon's second big SPAC, the Mercer Park SPAC, buying Glass House in $1 billion deal for the largest producer in California, where people really believe some of the best brands are coming from. And the industry is getting more sophisticated. You have better operators. And to be clear, also, this is a deal that we invested in on the hedge fund side. So I'm excited by the opportunities here. The macro, the fundamentals, and the bottom up are actually quite good. And I think tactically, you had a market that just got a little ahead of itself, while good news was a time to sell the fact.
Yeah. Good news, bad price action. Dan Nathan, in the words of the illustrious Guy Adami. Does that concern you, or is this just sort of right-sizing the trade here, given the run prior to the good news?
Listen, you know, this is an emerging space, and Tim just mentioned the piece of news in New York this week, and there's been a lot of consolidation. I think you have to stick with people who know what they're doing. And I know that Tim has an ETF, the CNBS. It's up more than most of these stocks. It's actively managed, and I think you probably want to put yourself in a low-cost sort of ETF like that to get that exposure for a trend that's going to be around for a very long time.
All right, coming up, love it, list it, or Google it.